Hi, my name is Deb, and I am a staff interpreter here. I'm representing Disability Services. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about the use of interpreters, the use of interpreting services. And I realize that some of you in this group have worked as interpreters before, and the rest of you have sort of varying exposures to deaf culture and ASL. So I just want to give sort of an overview. For some of you, this will be very familiar information, and for some of you, this will be completely new. So just with that in mind, I'd like to talk first of all a little bit about why we have two interpreters here instead of only one. The main reason for that is that interpreters, as some of you may be familiar with, have a fairly sizable risk for overuse syndrome, repetitive motion kinds of things, carpal tunnel, tendinitis, those kinds of things, particularly if they're interpreting for long periods of times, as in lecture classes, that kind of thing, which is what this is. So that's one of the reasons that you'll see the interpreter switching about every 20 to 30 minutes, is to prevent overuse of the hands and arms, as well as just to prevent mental fatigue. As some of you may well imagine, interpreting is not exactly a mentally easy task, and so we provide a team interpreter in order to alleviate both mental and physical stresses and concerns. One of the things I'd like to touch on, because as I said, some of you have been interpreters before, is that while the interpreters are in the class, please do your best. I know it's very tempting sometimes, especially if you are seeing what the deaf person is signing and you know that the interpreter is a little bit off, or even just in a case where the interpreter maybe voiced the comment but it wasn't exactly the way you would have maybe chosen to voice it. Please be respectful of the fact that each interpreter has their own process and each interpretation is a little bit different. I think sometimes as interpreters we forget that the key word here is interpret, and what they're doing is working from their conceptual understanding of what the speaker, whether deaf or hearing, is saying. And so please be respectful of that process. It's not real helpful to try and help the interpreter, primarily because the interpreter is not expecting help to come from any of you, and that's why they have a team there. I'd encourage you to get with the interpreter after class if you have any questions or concerns about the way that they interpreted or any other concerns as they come up. One of the other, there are several actually, other reasons that we also provide team interpreters. One reason is that the interpreter who's actually doing the interpreting, the team interpreter who's sitting in the off chair is what we call it. You've got the on chair and the off chair. The person who's sitting in the off chair and not actually doing the interpreting is there for backup. They're there to clarify things. They're there to take care of environmental issues, whether it's closing the blinds because it's getting too bright in here, or making sure that environmental sort of background noises are taken care of, that kind of thing. So the interpreters are really the teams. The reason that we provide teams in this situation is for a number of reasons: for backup, to take care of environmental issues, etc. One of the things that you'll probably notice, it's real common practice around here, is that the interpreters will be journaling back and forth. They'll be sort of writing notes to each other. One of the main reasons that they do that is to keep track of vocabulary that comes up, sort of specialized technical vocabulary, sign choices. One of the things I've found as an interpreter is that it's also a place for me to react to what's being said, and that may sound strange, but as interpreters we don't participate in the discussion, and so sometimes it's good to have a place to sort of say, oh, that was an interesting comment, or oh, I hadn't heard that before, or just gives us a place to kind of debrief with each other, as well as keep track of what's going on within the classroom. Be respectful of lag time as well. Know that the interpreter is not signing every single word as it comes out of the speaker's mouth. They're working from a conceptual framework, and they're trying to understand the concepts that are being presented. And so with regard to that, there's going to be some lag time. So be patient with that, particularly those of you who have not been interpreters or have not worked with interpreters before. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to think about. I'm sure there are others that I haven't touched on, but that's sort of a basic overview of interpreters in this situation, team interpreters, and some of the issues that go along with that. So I wish you all a good class. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, or talk directly with the interpreter.